Gentlemen, if I may be so generous as to use the term, consider this an invitation to tea. Not the sort of tea you may sip politely and then forget, but the sort one drinks under the withering gaze of Her Grace, c'est moi. Now, I summoned you because you seem in dire need of education. Despite your degrees, public service, and lofty reputations, you each suffer from the most stubborn affliction, the pompous complacency of cis-white manhood. Your recent equivocations, and in some cases bold declarations on the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness of transgender people, have damned one of the most fragile minorities in the realm. I am not surprised by you, Governor Newsom, though it is with personal chagrin. I had, as a schoolgirl, harbored a harmless crush when you were still married to that now MAGA superstar whose light has faded to a dull ember. Do check on her, won't you? It's a gentlemanly thing to do. But disappointment is too mild a word for you, Mr. Buttigieg. Rhodes Scholar, polyglot, veteran, you built a reputation on bridging the highbrow and the plain-spoken. You should know education is the key to cooling the fever of rhetoric, especially against LGBTQ youth. And yet, you falter. Perhaps, as a cis-white man who happens to be gay, you forget how invisible our most vulnerable can be. You may be read simply as another middle-aged suburban gent, pickleball perhaps, unaware that the privilege of being mistaken for the norm can insulate you from the urgency of the fight. I, as a black trans woman with a comparatively little amount of trauma in my upbringing, have taken it upon myself to educate, not only on issues of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, but other forms of harm, but also provide specific considerations for trans, queer, and non-binary people. Now, oftentimes this is to medical people, as well as nurses and law enforcement and others. And often, this becomes a separate conversation lasting 30 minutes to an hour, where I begin by asking my audience, nurses in the rural South, others, law enforcement, the usual bouts, about their own experiences with the trans, queer, and non-binary population. I do this so I know precisely where to meet them in their journey and how to help them in their work. Because, for the most part, let me explain about these people. They are wanting to help people. They are constrained by the rules of law and the necessities of their jobs. For some, that is law enforcement. From others, that is people who work in the prison system. And for the rest, that is the nurses and the doctors who care for these people. From there, I offer my own vulnerability in return for theirs, creating a safe space for them to ask the questions they have never been able to ask. And granted, there are a lot of ignorant questions, but they need the space to ask these as someone whose trauma will not rear up and attack them, but allow them the opportunity to be educated. It is not merely teaching, though. This is a hostage negotiation, be sure of that. I follow the Yale protocol for a hostage situation. Try to establish a relationship with your captors and get to know them. Captors are less likely to harm you if they respect you. And in this country, make no mistake, this is a hostage situation. Our rights are held captive, and the grim reality is that we must humanize ourselves to those who hold them. It is unfortunate. It fuels my impotent rage, and yet it is all we and I can do. And for some of us, leaving is not an option, and why should it be? This is my country as much as anyone else's. Why should I have to leave? As a child of a military father, I grew up knowing that every member of a military family serves when one serves, and ours was no different. Mr. Buttigieg, I'm sure you know all about this, having served yourself. My life, my safety, and my childhood were tethered to this nation's promise, and now I will not be told I must surrender my place in it. I've also had brief employment by the United States government when I was 15, working in a certain Saudi Arabia for the United States military training mission to Saudi Arabia. Let's just say I was there in 2001. Messrs. Emanuel, you said, I'm quoting you, can a man become a woman? No. You dismissed trans athletes, trans youth in care, and trans women in prison systems with a curt no. Not to mention, you stomped all over the dignity of non-binary persons and trans men, saying they do not exist as well, and called these matters niche distractions. Sir, if your moral compass cannot distinguish between a talking point and a person's dignity, then it is in urgent need of repair. Governor Newsom, You called trans women in female sports deeply unfair after a nudge from Charlie Kirk, as if fairness itself were a cudgel to swing at the marginalized. You have been a champion before, no? SB 107, the Safety Act, and yet you pivot. I assure you, history will not remember your hesitation kindly, Mr. Buttigieg. You couch your retreat in words like compassion and local decision-making. It is a genteel abdication of responsibility. When half the country does not know a single trans person, and let me assure you, more than half the country does not know a single trans person, perhaps you'll need some trans people on your staff or advisors or consultants, and I shall check my schedule to see if I can recommend someone to you. When half the country does not know a single trans person, leadership demands that you inform, not defer. You all know the sums involved. $215 million in anti-trans ads in 2024 alone. The right wins by fear. The only antidote is information delivered slowly, person to person, until myth collapses under truth. You are not doing this. We are outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, and outplanned, and your tepid half measures are burr when we need Hamilton. Your inaction feeds my own impotent rage, knowing that those of us who are not cis, not white, not male have our rights held hostage at every turn. If one must ask whether something is a right, then it is not secure, and yet this nation was founded upon unalienable ones. Many trans and non-binary people are deeply spiritual, including myself, believing as I do that if we are here, God intended us as we are. Hormone therapy is no more unnatural than a pair of spectacles, a tool to help us see ourselves clearly. Gentlemen, do better. Educate yourselves. Meet the families of trans youth. See firsthand that this is not an abstract debate, but a matter of life and death. Now, until then, do not expect the honor of my table to be extended again. Her Grace has spoken. You are dismissed. No response is necessary. Please leave. And while you're leaving, please send in Mr. Cuomo. I need to have a word with him on just using LGBTQ issues whenever it's convenient for him.